Hello, friends. Welcome to Marriage, Madness, and Magic. This is the podcast where we chat about marriage, the good, the bad, the crazy. Madness, maybe we'll spill a little tea. Magic, raising kids, and the pure joy and antics of grandkids. I'm your redheaded host, Tabitha Jean D'Agata, and this is my co-host, my Italian husband, Joe.
Yo, Adrienne, we did it!
Welcome to episode number 8.
Yeah.
I cannot believe episode number 8.
Yep.
We have recorded 8
episodes together. Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
Woo! I cannot believe it. And I am so excited about this episode.
Oh, me too.
Because we have a special guest on today.
Yes.
We do. And if anyone knows us, they know that we love a good scary movie.
Yeah.
Give me horror. Give me a scary movie any day. I love them.
Yes.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Jaws.
Jaws.
Yeah.
Jaws is your favorite.
Scary
you do
because...
not like the ocean.
No.
No. And mine is...
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel.
Yes, I love Texas Chainsaw
yeah.
Massacre. I love them all.
Yeah.
The one with Jessica Biel, my favorite. Hands
Yeah.
down, every time it's on, I have to watch it.
Yeah.
But I think any movie that I can remotely consider happening in real life, those are the movies that scare me.
Absolutely.
Those are the movies that get me every time. But when I think of scary movies, do you think of... I got chills, they're multiplying,
and I'm losing control.
Yes. Or I always
Feel like somebody's watching me.
Yes. I do get like that with some movies. I'll get up after watching a scary movie and I'm looking right to left.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, to be honest, there was a few scary movies where I've gotten up in the middle of the night and I run. I mean, I'm talking this dust. I'm leaving dust trails just running to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are these scary movies that just get you. But our guest today, I'm so excited, is from The Haunted Raven.
Yes.
We have a real-life ghost hunter.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
A real-life ghost hunter.
Yes.
And I'm just so excited about this because I have so many questions.
I have a couple myself.
So many questions. He considers himself to be a messenger of the dead. I love that. I just can't wait to find out what it takes to go out there and hunt for ghosts.
How does he prepare? All that good stuff,
Right, for paranormal activity. So he is just a real paranormal investigator. And he visits haunted locations trying to connect with ghosts.
Right.
I mean, I have questions for this man.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, he's getting spooky. We are going to get down and spooky on this episode.
Yes.
So please join us in welcoming. I'm so excited about this. Please welcome to our podcast for episode number 8. We have Drew from The Haunted Raven, a real-life ghost hunter.
Yes.
Hi, Drew. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. This is a great opportunity. I'm excited to be here.
What we want to know is we want to know more about how you got started being a ghost hunter.
Yes.
So let's take a step back in time. No. So I would say it started about a couple of years ago. What started off for me was my photos. I'm actually very well known for my photography. I started it off going and, your typical urbexer going around to, abandoned asylums and things like that and just taking photos of these places that may or may not have spirits in them or, ghosts or haunted. But my photos is what kind of got the attention. And then from there, it kind of spiraled out. I used to work for a company prior, and then from there, I decided I wanted to kind of just branch off and just kind of start my own. 2 years ago in August will be about 2 years that I've been running my own paranormal tours here.
Wow. Now, how did you start the Haunted Raven. Was that all part of the beginning, or did that come after?
So at first I really didn't have a name for myself or anything like that. I would say when I started to post my photos on social media and stuff, because I was kind of keeping them more for myself, but people were telling me that I should showcase them. Once I created a page and everything, and so like I joke with my friends and I say the OG name is Dark Raven Photography. It's always been the Raven. The Raven, I think, is a huge symbol. I like for me,
Yes.
and the Raven is just something that's always been around me for a while now. For all I know, it could be my spirit animal.
Right,
I've never done digging on as far as like that goes, but I mean, I would say that there is some sort of a like close connection, and that's kind of where the name came from. But the Haunted Raven was something that like almost like a little superhero, you could say. So that, I kind of started calling myself that, and I figured it made sense for the company. I ended up deciding to drop the Dark Raven because I didn't really like the dark so much of it, but I liked Haunted because for me, I don't talk about this much because I don't like putting it out there too much, but like for like interviews and things like this, I will say it just because it is a part of who I am. I am a medium, and with these things that I do, I can speak to them, I can see them. And so with doing all of this, it almost makes me, right, being the Raven as haunted. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
I read that about you.
Yeah, so that's kind of where like the Raven, the haunted part, and then, putting it all together, Haunted Raven became what it is now today.
Right, because you say that the departed have untold stories that need to be told.
Right.
And you're sort of a messenger for the dead.
Yeah.
Yes. And the Raven itself, a lot of people look at the Raven like a bad omen, like that means death, right? But actually it's another form of a messenger. I had a hashtag going around for a little bit, but it was called, Death's Loyal Messenger, because at the end of the day, we're also no different than like a cardinal, like your loved one coming to visit you or something. It's still the same type of a messenger. I just thought ravens were cooler at the time.
Now, what was the first time that you actually went and decided to ghost hunt? Where was the first place that you set up, and how did you set up to do this?
I would say the first time wasn't intentional. The first time that I had like an experience was more or less when I was urbexing. I was at this place, and it's they're actually in the process of trying to demolish it now, but it's Norwich State Hospital down in Norwich, Connecticut. That was actually one of the first places that I really started to do urbex in as well. I always say Norwich is like what started it all for me. And, it's actually a hospital that I will always and forever hold deeply close to my heart.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things when you build a connection with the spirits, it's like, it's no longer a creepy building.
Right.
You're building that connection. And with that, the place itself being a mental health hospital, I fully believe that there was a lot of light that was in that place. You had a lot of doctors and nurses that really cared and tried their best with the knowledge and supplies that they had during their time period.
Do you bring equipment with you? What type of equipment do you use when you're ghost hunting?
Time I didn't. That time it was more or less I heard something and then I ended up searching and realizing I was the only one in that building. That was more of like a freak out moment. Like, okay, like what, like, trying to like bring it back to what the hell was that? There's no way, like there was so many questions going in and out of my head. But now my first investigation that I actually went to, with equipment, things like that, would be Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum down in West Virginia.
Was it scary?
We only did like one of their public ones. It was like a good 4 hours. I don't know that I would say that we had an in-depth investigation of it. I always joke and say like these tour guides hate to see me coming because I'm the one who would like to wait in the back for a few minutes, let the people go ahead and like, hey, are you really here? Or you just didn't want to talk to them. Like, you know what I mean? But that time actually caught one of my very first photo of apparitions. I had to hurry up because my mom was already yelling at me because she was freaked out by standing there. She's like, the group is going, we gotta go. So I was like, all right. I quickly just flipped my phone around and like took like a little selfie. I was like, hey guys, if you want to hop in, like take a selfie with me. And like looking back at the photo, there was definitely about 5 shadow figures standing like behind me, around me. it shocked the living hell out of me. Like that night when I looked at it, I didn't see him. When like the next day or so, when I looked back at him all, that's when I was like, okay, hold on a second. There's definitely more that meets the eye here. So that one, it was a good experience. I would say when I, stayed back a little bit, was getting kind of creepy because, it's so dark in there. And that, I always say when the dark gets darker, there's something there,
Yes.
And it's not necessarily meaning it's like dark energy. It's something obviously with you there in that moment. You're not alone, you know? But it was definitely an interesting one for sure.
Well, I love like strolling and trolling cemeteries. And we've also done a night at the Lizzie Borden house. I was waiting to see doors shut. Something happened. At one point, I was just wishing the toilet would flush. I was hoping for something.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't very scary. We didn't really experience anything outside of just having like some odd feelings. Yeah. That was about it. I think I've had better feelings in some cemeteries.
Yeah.
Now, for you doing this, what would you say was probably the most impacting or scariest moment that you really felt like you felt something, heard something?
Well, I've had a lot of those.
Is there one that stands out?
I will say that my most recent one that I just did actually this past weekend was pretty impactful. I would also say that it was very much like a lesson for myself and everybody that I went with. So I wasn't just me there. It was I got invited to go by another group. That's a friend of mine, the Spirit Seeker Societies. And they had invited myself and a good friend of mine to come along with them. And we went out to the Mid-Orange Correctional Facility out in Warwick, New York. Absolutely love that place. I've been there countless of times. Actually, when I first did my first ghost hunt with the company that I used to work for, it was actually at that place. I definitely have spent a lot of time there. I've seen all different sides of this place. I would say this weekend was one of the most, I'm still over here trying to process it even days later.
Wow.
There was a lot that happened. It started off like a typical investigation and kind of quickly down spiraled. I would say probably when we were getting close to being done, if not halfway. We saw some things, we heard some things. It was a very interesting night. There was one part of the night for where we were upstairs, and then if you go up to the top floor, there's what they call like the chapel area, and they actually have a couple different rooms set up for different types of religion because, it is in New York, so you're going to have all different types of religion belief systems, and they did honor all of that. But you had your different rooms, which basically took up the entire floor. We split up, and during the investigation of that, we definitely heard people talking. I'm talking like the other group was like, you're talking floors between us, concrete floors, so there should have been no reason as to why, like if it was them that we would be hearing them.
Right.
And nobody else was like, we paid. So it's not like anybody else could have been in the building. They basically locked us in. People that worked there left about 9:00. And from that point on, they locked us in. Nobody else easily could get in just because, you're talking about a prison. They have the prison gates there. Still fences up like that, everything. We knew for a fact nobody else was in there. We did walk around, trying to find it. We heard a lot of bangs. That part was kind of hard to tell because there were fireworks going around. But there was a couple times that almost would say that possibly could have mimicked the fireworks sounds because some of them, when we were asking for responses, sounded like the fireworks, but also like mimicked the same sound that we were asking for. So that one was a little weird, I would say. Am I going to say fully it's paranormal? I don't know for sure because, like I said, fireworks are going on too. So that part was very hard to tell. We started to regroup a little bit. I ended up I heard something in one of the stairwells and kind of got drawn off. I honestly thought the group was right back behind me, and they weren't, but where I ended up being was on I think a floor or two lower from where they were at. And this would be where they call the schoolhouse portion. That's where I ended up. I started going through this maze and thing and came back around. And when I came out, I thought I saw something move. So I came in the hall and was trying to see, and they radioed me, scared the living hell out of me. I jumped about 3 feet. And then as they're talking, as I'm radioing back to them, I saw, and this is what freaked me out because it was just the weirdest grudge movie type of thing. It looked like an arm, was hanging out of a doorway. You know, like in the horror movies where like the hand is like stuck on the wall and you just see it slowly moving back into the room. That's what I saw. I made like radio call back and I'm like, what the hell? And I like stopped. I tried to get my radio back on. Then the radio started glitching out and making like these weird sounds. I had the camera pointed at me, so I definitely got glares galore because the light was just like blinding me from me trying to like move around and quickly and stuff. I went over and was trying to find which door, and I ended up stopping at one specific one. I freaked out. I ended up getting the group down, and at that moment we were all down. I say this because it's almost like it wanted us to be down in that one spot, right?
So it's gathering you.
Yes, because as soon as we got all down into that spot, I showed them where I saw it come from. They asked if I had caught it on my camera, and I'm like sitting there trying to search through that, through the last clip that I just had, trying to see. And I didn't, and like right, like mid-sentence, that's when we heard like walking loud as clear above us, as if somebody was just walking around, pacing back and forth right where we're at, just like right above us. We all just stopped and we're like, shh. All of a sudden we hear it again. And then we're like, holy shit, what the hell? And like, we all knew, we literally just came from above there. There's nothing there, physical, like human form that could be making that would make sense to be making that sound. I don't think an animal could even make that sound. And like I said, we were just up there. There was no animals. There's no like birds even up there. We were trying to wrap our head around that. And it was like one of those things that kind of like started the night, I guess you could say, and set the vibe for the rest of the evening. We go off into the cottages at this point, which is where a lot of the inmates were housed, especially during the time of when it was a boys' reform school. There's a lot of activity over those. And I always say, like, there's one building in specific, I'm like, if you want to experience, go into this building,
right.
Because there's just something in there that just loves to talk, scare the shit out of you,
yes.
Whatever it is, like they're all about it in there. So later in the night, that's when we decided we're going to go. We split up again. The entire group of Spirit Seeker Society, they went into the B1 cottage. So there's a very significant death that happened in there. So they went in there to go, try to get answers or investigate that. And myself and my friend went into cottage A4. And we just had immediately just weird activity from the start. It got very dark.
Crazy.
It was, I would say it was taunting all of us. In a weird way. It got very interesting very quickly.
I'd be like, bye.
Yeah, and not only that, but I'm also sitting there by myself. My friend was doing Estes, so she has the Delco goggles on, she's got the headphones on, running the whole SB7, and I'm sitting here in the pitch black dark, right? Just the only light that I got is from my little camera that I'm watching on the screen. And all of a sudden we had I don't know what it was, if it was like an owl or a bird, but something just kept screeching. And that first time I nearly left her in there because I nearly jumped up and was like, what the hell was that? I'm out. Like, I'm not doing anything with this stuff, But yeah, it got very interesting. And then there was another part that got weird that I can't explain it. We ended up taking like a really long break after the cottages, truthfully, which I think we all needed. And actually there was a couple of us, myself and one of the girls from the group there. And we were sitting outside and, just kind of like getting some air from everything. And we both, well, she saw it at first. And then, obviously I looked up, but when she saw it first, she said, Drew, and she's like, is somebody else on the property? And obviously, like, immediately I look up and I'm like, what? And I look, and what we both saw was this light that looked at us, and it went away, but then it walked toward the cottages. It walked from like this field across the drive and then over to the cottages. And immediately, like, I got up and like, okay.
Jeepers, creepers.
We need to go. Yes, because obviously, like, this apparently happens there sometimes. I don't know how often. For where an orb-like or maybe spirit with a flashlight appears. And I'm only saying because it kind of looks like that. You can't see anything but like this light, like the flash, as if somebody's holding a flashlight, but you can't see them.
Yeah.
I've seen it on a show. And I never thought that I would ever end up experiencing. And like, they ended up going and looking. They didn't find anybody, right? So they could easily say 100% that was something that they can't, debunk or anything. So when I went in and told the group, I said, okay, so we have a situation, right? Either A, somebody is trespassing on the property right now, or B, we're dealing with a situation that's paranormal. It was a very weird night with everything, and then having, the whole thing at the end with the flashlight.
Yeah.
So it was
So that was a night
quite
for
the
you.
experience. Yes.
I can't say that I don't think I've really ever experienced probably the scariest moment for me. I was sitting by a window and I turned and I saw somebody looking back at me and I screamed only to find out it was me, my own reflection.
I've done that. I can't tell you how many times.
I think that's about the scariest. My husband, there's a place called Lincoln Apartments in Lawrence, Mass.
Lawrence, Mass, yeah.
And my husband, I think it was 1986, he experienced something in one of the apartments there where things were moving around. And
Oh, yeah, I saw them. I was at a friend's house and bottles were being stacked. Shoes came from under a rocking chair and hit the window. But yeah, it was something.
yeah, so
It sounds like some poltergeist.
yes, a poltergeist. Yeah. Yes. Being a professional ghost hunter, I know you also do these haunted campouts. What are those about?
I normally do, overnight events. Some locations you can sleep at. Some, obviously, we're only there for a certain amount of time. But I decided to kind of bring something new to the table this year. I go and I do a lot of events at Indiana State Sanatorium. And this year I decided to do a little bit different because a lot of people, their biggest thing is they really want to stay at the location. They want to sleep there.
Right. They want to be scared.
Yes, so it's like I kind of was talking with the owners the last time that I had an event there, and some of them actually kind of, spitballed the idea at me for like a camp out there. I see that they do them like the Indiana State Sanatorium. They also host these like motocross races and stuff like that too. And I saw that, a lot of them will sleep. And I was talking with a couple of workers. They're like, they will literally camp out, put a tent right next to the building. They'll sleep in the building. So I'm like, okay, let's try to bring something new to the table here. Camp out, right? A lot of people get spooked at night in the woods. Right.
Yes.
So, mind you, we're not going to be deep in the woods, but we're going to be surrounded by woods. And what better time to do it than at a haunted location, right?
Right. Yes.
So, I have Billy Creek Village on Friday night. We will only have access to Billy Creek Village on the Friday night. Then on Saturday night, we will have access to Indiana State Sanatorium that night. Both of these locations are camping. It's in, I have the camping optional because some people don't obviously, they want to camp. They'd rather go and explore the building. So,
right. That makes sense.
So basically the camp out is just bringing another option in for you to sleep at that place. There's going to be dinner there. Everything that I have is also included into the price. I also, if you don't have your own equipment, that's totally fine.
And
I always tell people bring it
to learn about ghost hunting and the paranormal.
Yep.
It's a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah. Basically, with my events, when we come there, you check in, right? You get signed in. If you want to get some merch at that time. After that, once everybody's there, we get started with a history tour. The people that these locations are phenomenal, super knowledgeable with the stuff that's, there, and all the stuff that's happened. Fun. Yes, it is. After the history tour, we break off into groups, right? What I do is I color code them with a wristband. So, everybody with a black wristband is going to belong with the black group. Everybody with an orange one is going to be with the orange group, and from there we split you up. And at that point you're in group rotation mode, right? And this is where, because I do get a lot of beginners, people who are curious and want to try it out, but like don't want to spend, a fortune trying to rent out a lot of these locations, especially people who don't want to do it by themselves or they don't have a team. They can easily come to one of these events, take a step into the darker side of the pool, as I call it, into the other world. But yeah, so the group rotation is what it is. So I basically will split you up. You get to go around to some of the most like hot spots in the area. And at that point, we teach you, we break down how to investigate. And this is the part where we try to encourage you to join in as much as possible, asking questions, not just for us or like asking questions in a way like trying to learn, but like, hey, like talk to them. That's exactly why we're here. And this is something I fully believe in, is that, not all spirits want to talk about what happened to them.
Right.
Right. They don't want to talk about that dark part of their life. They do want the company. Some will flat out tell you, they'll like curse at you, tell you the hell out,
Yeah.
At that time, respect them is all I tell them.
Oh, you wouldn't have to worry. If I heard that, I would respect.
Oh yeah, I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, say less. You don't got to tell me twice. I'm out,
That's so funny.
So during those group sessions, we'll do different types of equipment. So that way you're not just learning with one piece, every single group session or going around. Like a group, they do an Estes session or some sort of a spirit communication session.
Do you
so whether
record
that's through
these?
Estes, I've been working on it. I'm a one-man show, but I'm slowly starting to get people on to help me for where it's going to take a little bit more weight off my shoulders.
Right.
That way I can start filming these. I actually just recently hired somebody in to just even take photos for the event just so I can get more. So my main focus is the people, running the event, making sure it runs smoothly and successfully. And with that, that's, a handful in itself. Because that's obviously always my main priority.
If there's anyone that would like to be mostly ghostly with you and learn more about paranormal activity, ghost hunting, how can our listeners find you?
So they can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all under the Haunted Raven.
Wonderful. I think that's great. So people, if they're interested in ghost hunting and being a paranormal investigator or just following along on your campouts, because that's what I was drawn to. I'm like, who is this ghost hunter out there doing mostly ghostly sleepovers?
You guys will have to come out and check it out if you ever have the free time.
Yeah. Right? I had to know more. And I thought it was just so interesting. I think you're a very interesting person. To be doing this. And I know that you have a stepson.
Yes, I do.
Yes, and he gets to tag along with you for some of these adventures, maybe the ones that aren't so scary.
Yes, so, oh God, he will go to anyone as long as, we say it's okay. But obviously being me and being protective, there are certain locations that I will tell him, sorry, buddy, but not this one, just because they can get a little darker, and I just don't want him to experience that. Because with my events, I do allow kids to come in, but I get a lot of messages from parents asking if, hey, what's the age requirement? I have, I have a 14-year-old kid who loves this stuff, watches it, from day to night, all of it. Can they come? And my biggest thing here is that we see the horror movies, we see the YouTube channels, right?
Right.
However, the paranormal world, right? The spiritual world, it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be all terrifying like a lot of these things make it out to be, And obviously making it scary, everybody loves like the jump scares, all of that stuff, right?
Yes.
That's what gets us into it because we want that scare. We want to be scared. But, yep. And I'm not going to lie to you, you're going to have those moments, right? Yeah. But I really, truly,
you should see my husband watching Jaws. He has a lot of those moments.
Yeah. Yes. And I think it's important for people to know, like, going into these places, it's not always scary. You're going to have the light and you're going to have the dark, And I think it's good because, we shouldn't shun our kids away from this. No. Kids are very open, whether we want to realize that or not. And the more open they are, the more fun that they can have with this. Being the weird kid was always beneficial, because look at what we're doing. Look at how, cool we can do. I was always a weird kid in high school and, school and everything. And now my job is one of the coolest things on this, in this planet to do.
Oh, yeah. I'm happy to hear that for you because, and I'm so happy we had you on our podcast for this episode, our mostly ghostly episode, because I think you're very interesting and I've loved following you on social media and just seeing all the new adventures you have coming out. I'm following along and I hope that our listeners will follow along too and get to know more about Drew.
Absolutely, and I would love for you guys to come out one time and, experience an event for yourselves as well.
We may.
That's on here as well. So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be sure that everybody looks for you on social media. And what was that again? How do they find you?
The Haunted Raven on Facebook. Raven. Yep. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Find me there. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Yes,
congratulations for being a real life ghost hunter.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you,
much. I really
Drew.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
How interesting was that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was fun having Drew on.
Yes, it was.
We learned a lot about ghost hunting.
Yes, we did.
Do you want to be a ghostbuster?
Sure. I ain't afraid of no ghost.
I did enjoy him. He was very interesting. He goes on a lot of adventures.
Full of energy.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just so happy to have him on. And we're doing so much with this podcast. I mean, we are totally off the cuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Off the cuff. And we will have another guest on who was from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
From Cobra Kai.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. That'll be episode number 9. Thank you all for tuning in to Marriage, Madness and Magic. Me and my husband. Yo. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes,
and we are wishing you all the magic.
All the magic. We love you.